First Contact Protocol. The UNHS Hippocrates drifted silently through the void, its gleaming white hull emblazoned with the ancient symbol of healing, a red cross against a field of white. At nearly 2 kilometers long, the hospital ship was a monument to humanity's commitment to interstellar medicine, carrying enough supplies, equipment, and personnel to serve as a mobile medical center for an entire sector of space. Dr. Nadia Volkov stood on the observation deck, her weathered face reflected in the transparent aluminum viewport. 20 years as the medical director of Earth's flagship hospital vessel had etched permanent lines around her eyes. She treated victims of mining accidents in the asteroid belt, contained engineered plagues on colony worlds, and performed surgery during supernova radiation storms. Nothing surprised her anymore. "Director, we're receiving a distress call from the Proxima colony," her AI assistant announced. "Multiple casualties reported from some kind of industrial accident." Nadia nodded. "Plot a course, maximum safe speed. Alert all department heads and prepare treat stations." The massive engines of the Hippocrates hummed to life, pushing the vessel toward the coordinates. What none of the 3,000 crew members realized was that they were heading straight into a trap. The Veldraxian raiders had studied human vessels for months. These bipedal creatures were newcomers to the galactic stage, soft-looking beings from a supposedly high-gravity world they called Earth. Their medical ships were particularly tempting targets: minimal weapons, valuable pharmaceuticals, and advanced technology. The distress call had been simple to fake. Captain Kraz Full clicked his mandibles in anticipation as the massive white ship appeared on his scanners. "Look at the size of it," he hissed to his first officer. "The biologicals alone will fetch millions on the black market." "Their defenses appear minimal," the tactical officer reported. "Standard shields, but weaponry consistent with civilian vessels." "Perfect." Kraz Full's compound eyes gleamed. "Deploy the boarding parties. Disable their engines first, then secure their medical bay and storage facilities." The attack came without warning. 3 Veldraxian cruisers decloaked and opened fire, targeting the Hippocrates engine nacelles with surgical precision. Inside the hospital ship, alarms blared as the vessel shuddered under the assault. Nadia grabbed a console to steady herself. "Status report. 3 vessels, unknown configuration." The tactical officer replied. "They've disabled our primary propulsion system and are moving into boarding position. Security teams are responding. But we're a medical vessel. We're not equipped for this." Nadia's expression hardened. "Enact protocol Asclepius." The officer's eyes widened. "Ma'am, are you sure?" "That's..." "Just do it," Nadia cut him off. "And prepare emergency medical bays. We're going to have casualties, theirs, not ours." Throughout the ship, medical personnel calmly secured patients and locked down sensitive areas. There was no panic, only the practiced efficiency of people who routinely dealt with life-and-death situations. Meanwhile, the raiders breached the outer hull on Deck 12. The first boarding party consisted of 8 Veldraxians in environmental suits. Captain Kraz Full watched their progress through helmet cameras. "Remember, secure the pharmaceuticals first," he ordered. "Their pain management compounds alone will set us up for life." The raiders moved through the sterile white corridors, chitinous limbs clicking against the deck plating. They encountered no resistance, which only emboldened them. "This section appears to be some kind of storage facility," the lead raider reported, approaching a sealed door marked with biohazard symbols. "Attempting access now." Aboard his ship, Kraz Full frowned. "Wait, check for..." The warning came too late. The storage room's seal broke with a hiss, releasing its contents into the corridor. The raiders stood motionless for a moment before the first one began to convulse. "What's happening?" Kraz Full demanded as the helmet feed showed his soldier collapsing. A calm human voice came over the ship's communication system. "This is Medical Director Nadia Volkov of the UNHS Hippocrates. Your boarding parties have just broken containment of our pathogen research division. The substance they've been exposed to is a modified influenza virus we were transporting for study. Harmless to humans with the proper vaccinations, but I'm afraid your physiology will find it challenging. On the screen, all 8 raiders were now writhing on the floor. "What have you done?" Kraz full roared. "Nothing," Nadia replied coldly. "You did this when you attacked a clearly marked hospital ship protected under Galactic Convention Article 17. Your other boarding parties have breached similar containment areas. Some have entered our radiation therapy wing without proper shielding. Others are experimental bacteriophage cultivation chambers." Krasful watched in horror as reports flooded in from his other teams. Soldiers dropping from siegers, bleeding from multiple orifices, their chitinous exoskeletons beginning to soften and dissolve. You're using biological weapons," he accused. "No, Captain. We're a hospital ship. We study diseases to cure them. We contain radiation to treat cancer. We cultivate bacteriophages to fight infections. Everything aboard this vessel is designed to heal. It's not our fault your species hasn't evolved the immunological defenses that humans take for granted." For the first time, Krasful felt a creeping dread. The humans weren't deploying weapons. They were simply existing in an environment that was lethal to most other species. What kind of death world had produced beings that could casually walk among such horrors? "If you withdraw now," Nadia continued, "we can treat your affected crew members. We are still bound by our medical oaths after all." Krasful's mandibles trembled with rage and fear. "And if we don't? Then I'm afraid the prognosis is poor. The influenza variant has a 90% mortality rate in arthropoid species. The radiation your troops in Section 7 were exposed to will cause cellular breakdown within hours. And the bacteriophages, well, they're particularly aggressive against chitin-based organisms." Before Krasful could respond, his tactical officer interrupted. "Captain, new contact emerging from hyperspace." A massive vessel appeared on their scanners, dwarfing even the Hippocrates. Its design was unmistakable, a Gora Consortium diplomatic ship. "This is Ambassador Trelnak of the Gora Consortium," a new voice announced on all channels. "The vessel you are attacking is under our protection. They recently saved one of our colony worlds from a pandemic. Stand down immediately or face obliteration." Krasful stared at his tactical display in disbelief. The Gora were one of the oldest and most powerful species in the galaxy. No one defied them and lived. "Director Volkov," the ambassador continued, "are you and your crew unharmed?" "We've sustained damage to our engines, Ambassador, but no casualties. However, several of the raiders have been exposed to various medical hazards aboard our ship. They require immediate treatment." "Treatment?" Krasful sputtered. "After we attacked you." "Captain," Nadia replied simply, "we're doctors." 3 hours later, the Veldraxian raiders had surrendered. The Hippocrates medical teams worked tirelessly to save the affected boarding parties, setting up isolation wards and synthesizing treatments for physiologies they'd never encountered before. Not a single raider died, though many would bear the scars of their folly for life. Ambassador Trelnak stood with Nadia in the main medical bay, watching the humans work. "You know," the ambassador said quietly, "when humanity first joined the galactic community, many questioned whether you truly belonged. Your world was classified as a Class 12 death world, yet you seemed so fragile." Nadia raised an eyebrow. "And now I understand why your species survived such a planet. You've made peace with death. You've learned to use what kills as a tool for healing. It's terrifying and magnificent. We're just doing our jobs, Ambassador. Perhaps. But after today, I suspect no one will ever attack a human hospital ship again. The galaxy is about to learn that Earth's most dangerous export isn't its warriors, it's its healers." As if to emphasize his point, one of the human doctors walked past, casually handling a container of bacteria that could dissolve a Veldraxian from the inside out, whistling cheerfully as she went to save the very beings who had tried to kill her hours before. The quarantine gambit, Word spread quickly through the criminal networks of the Outer Rim. Human hospital ships were to be avoided at all costs. They didn't need weapons. They were weapons, floating arsenals of biological and radiological horrors that their crews handled with casual indifference. More disturbing still were reports of the humans' bewildering medical philosophy. They had saved every single raider who had attacked them, honoring something they called the Hippocratic Oath, even toward their enemies. 3 months after the Veldraxian incident, the UNHS Hippocrates had been repaired and was responding to a distress call from the mining colony on Toph City IV. The call reported a mysterious illness spreading among the colonists. In her office, Nadia reviewed the preliminary data with Dr. Sanjay Kumar, the ship's chief epidemiologist. These symptoms don't match any known pathogen, Sanjay said, frowning at the holographic display. Rapid cellular degradation, neurological impairment, and the speed of transmission suggests an engineered contagion. Nadia's expression darkened. Biological warfare? I believe so. And not just any weapon. This looks like a Kedar design. The Kedar Imperium was the dominant military power in their sector of space, an expansionist regime known for their ruthless efficiency. If they were testing biological weapons on civilian populations, it represented a grave escalation of their aggression. Why target a mining colony? Nadia wondered aloud. Perhaps it's not about the colony itself, Sanjay suggested. Toph City IV is strategically located near the borders of 3 different territories. An outbreak there would spread quickly to multiple political entities. Nadia nodded grimly. Plot a course for Toph City IV, maximum speed. Alert the United Earth Defense Force and request a military escort. Do you think that's necessary after what happened with the Veldraxians? We've practically gained a reputation as untouchable. That reputation won't matter against the Kedar. They don't raid. They conquer. And they're not afraid to sacrifice their own troops to achieve their objectives. When the Hippocrates arrived at Toph City IV, the situation was worse than anticipated. Nearly 30% of the colony's 50,000 inhabitants showed symptoms of the disease, with new cases appearing hourly. The Hippocrates medical teams deployed immediately, setting up field hospitals and isolation wards. Dr. Eliza Chen, the ship's head of xenobiology, made a disturbing discovery on the second day. The pathogen is engineered to target specific genetic markers, she reported to Nadia. It's affecting humans, Loraxians, and Minervans, but not Kedar. So it is them, Nadia said. Have you made any progress on a treatment? We've stabilized the most critical patients, but we need more time to develop an effective antiviral. The pathogen rewrites host DNA at an unprecedented rate. Before Eliza could elaborate, an alert sounded throughout the ship. Director, the tactical officer's voice came over the comm. We're detecting multiple hyperspace signatures approaching the system. Configuration matches Kedar warships. Nadia rushed to the bridge. On the main display, a dozen Kedar vessels had appeared, forming a blockade around the planet. They're hailing us, the communications officer reported. The screen flickered to show a Kedar commander, his slate-gray skin and cybernetic implants, giving him an appearance as cold as his reputation. Human vessel, this is Commander Vex Hare of the Kedar Imperium. A dangerous contagion has been detected on Toph City IV. By authority of the Imperium, we are establishing a quarantine. No ships will be permitted to enter or leave the system until the threat is contained. Nadia stood tall. Commander, I am Medical Director Nadia Volkov of the UNHS Hippocrates. We are aware of the contagion and are currently treating the infected. Our analysis indicates this is an engineered bioweapon, one that specifically avoids affecting Kedar physiology. Vex Hare's expression didn't change. Your accusations are noted and dismissed. The quarantine remains in effect. Any attempt to break it will be met with lethal force. The transmission ended. They're positioning their ships to cut off all exit vectors, the tactical officer reported. And I'm detecting landing craft heading toward the colony. They're not here to enforce quarantine, Nadia realized. They're here to monitor the effectiveness of their weapon and ensure no evidence escapes. The UED of Response Fleet is still 12 hours out, the communications officer added. We're on our own until then. Nadia turned to the ship's eye. Athena, show me the Kadar fleet formation. A holographic display appeared, showing the positions of all Kadar vessels. Their flagship is maintaining distance while the rest form the blockade, she observed. Typical Kadar doctrine. Vexhair won't risk exposure until the situation is fully controlled. She tapped her comm badge. Dr. Chen, Dr. Kumar, meet me in my ready room immediately. 10 minutes later, Nadia outlined her plan to the assembled senior staff. The Kadar believe their pathogen makes them immune while targeting other species, she explained. We're going to use that assumption against them. How? Sanjay asked. By giving them exactly what they expect, with a twist. Nadia pulled up schematics of the Hippocrates. Our atmospheric filtration system was designed to neutralize virtually any airborne contagion. We're going to reverse it, converting it into the largest aerosol delivery system in the sector. Elisa's eyes widened. You want to weaponize our hospital ship. Not weaponize, repurpose, Nadia corrected. Earth's pathogens evolved on a planet that tried to kill us every day. Our bodies are walking biological arsenals compared to most species. We don't need to engineer a new weapon. We just need to introduce something the Kadar have never encountered. A common cold, Sanjay realized. Nadia nodded. Rhinovirus. Harmless to us with our evolved immune systems, but the Kadar have no natural defenses against it. Their bioengineered immunity to their own weapon won't help them against something from Earth. But that would violate the Hippocratic Oath, the ship's ethicist protested. First, do no harm. We'll deliver it with a treatment, Nadia countered. The virus will be uncomfortable, but not lethal, and will provide full care to any affected Kadar. More importantly, it will force them to acknowledge their biological attack and accept medical assistance from us. Hours later, the plan was set in motion. The Hippocrates transmitted an emergency message to the Kadar fleet, claiming that the pathogen had mutated, affecting the human medical teams. They requested immediate assistance before the entire medical staff was incapacitated. As Nadia had predicted, Commander Vexhair saw an opportunity to capture advanced human medical technology while allowing the colonists to succumb to the engineered disease. He ordered his troops to board the seemingly vulnerable hospital ship. The Kadar boarding parties found minimal resistance. Medical personnel lay slumped at their stations, apparently victims of the mutated pathogen. The raiders secured key sections of the ship, including the main medical bay, where they discovered vials of what appeared to be an experimental vaccine. The humans were developing a countermeasure, the Kadar science officer reported to Vexhair. Preliminary analysis suggests it's effective against our pathogen. Bring it to me, Vexhair ordered. This could be valuable intelligence. Meanwhile, in a sealed section of the Hippocrates, Nadia and her senior staff monitored the Kadar movements through hidden cameras. They've taken the bait, she said. Initiate Phase 2. Throughout the ship, hidden atmospheric controls activated, releasing an aerosolized mixture containing the common rhinovirus, slightly modified to target Kadar biology. The vaccine the Kadar had discovered was actually a decoy, designed to be identified as a potential threat to their bioweapon program. Within hours, Kadar troops began showing symptoms: sneezing, coughing, fever. More concerning to their commanders was the discovery that the supposed vaccine samples they had taken to their ships had contaminated their own vessels. Vexhair, now facing a rapidly spreading illness among his troops, was forced to break radio silence. Human vessel, what have you done to my soldiers? Nadia, fully recovered from her convincing performance as a disease victim, responded calmly. Simply introduced you to rhinovirus, Commander. A common Earth pathogen that's been with humanity for millennia. Normally, it causes minor discomfort for a few days. But in Kadar physiology, I'm afraid the inflammatory response is quite pronounced. This is an act of war, Vexhair snarled, unable to suppress a cough. No, Commander. This is medicine. Your troops are experiencing a mild illness that will resolve with proper treatment. Treatment we are prepared to provide. In exchange, you will acknowledge your deployment of a biological weapon against Ta Ceti IV and withdraw your forces immediately. Or what? You'll watch us suffer from your minor irritant. Actually, what your troops are experiencing is just the first stage. Without treatment, the inflammatory response in Kadar respiratory systems will increase exponentially. Within 72 hours, your entire fleet will be incapacitated. But unlike you, we don't use disease to kill. We're transmitting treatment protocols now, along with evidence of your biological attack that has already been sent to the Galactic Council. Vexhair's confidence faltered as reports flooded in from his ships, officers collapsing at their stations, engineering crews unable to maintain critical systems, all from what humans considered a minor inconvenience. The UEDF fleet will arrive in approximately 1 hour, Nadia continued. I suggest you use that time to consider your options. 2 days later, the Kadar fleet had withdrawn from Ta Ceti IV. Under the watchful eyes of now-arrived UEDF warships, the Hippocrates medical teams had not only treated the colonists but also provided care for affected Kadar troops. The Galactic Council had launched a formal investigation into the biological attack, with the Kadar Imperium facing severe sanctions. In her office, Nadia received a secure transmission from Earth Command. Director Volkov, Admiral Chen began. Your actions at Ta Ceti IV were unorthodox, but effective, Admiral. Indeed, the Kadar have withdrawn from 3 other disputed territories since their encounter with the Hippocrates. It seems they've developed a healthy respect for human medicine. Fear would be more accurate, Nadia corrected. They finally understand what it means to evolve on a death world. Humanity survived plagues, radiation, predators, and our own destructive tendencies. We turned the agents of our potential extinction into tools for healing. And occasionally for defense, the Admiral added with a slight smile. Only when necessary, Nadia replied firmly. We're healers first. The galaxy is just learning that on Earth, those two things aren't as separate as they might think. As the transmission ended, Nadia turned to look out her viewport at the stars. Humanity had ventured into space hoping to find peace, bringing their hospitals before their armies. The irony wasn't lost on her that it was their capacity for healing, not destruction, that had now become their most feared capability. The UNHS Hippocrates set course for its next mission, its red cross gleaming against the void, a symbol that now carried a new meaning throughout the galaxy. Never attack a Deathworlder hospital ship. They don't need weapons to defend themselves. They already carry something far more powerful, the power to heal, and the knowledge of exactly how fragile life can be. End.